Guys, just make sure you do your research with your tuners. Um, I've had a bike tuned by V-Cycle Nut. You know, it was an older bike. Um, I think his tuning generally is pretty decent. I can't recommend Two Wheel Dynoworks enough. I own 3 bikes currently that are flashed by them, and they're all 3 of them are perfect. My MT10, when I bought it, I went with a local guy, and that local guy is pretty well known. We'll just call him the Pops and Bangs tuner. That bike was fucking trick. Sorry. Fuck boy in the Tesla. You guys probably couldn't see him on camera, but he was definitely a fuckboy. But yeah, when I got my MT10, Pops and Bangs tuner, tuned it. The guy flashed it, and I took it back probably within about a week. Huge flat spots all over. The throttle transition was absolutely terrible. You know, probably in like the 3,000 to 5,000 RPM range. You could be giving it throttle, let off throttle, and coast, and then you would go to try and get back on the throttle, and there would be up to a full second of a delay before the power kicked back in. Absolutely abysmal. Couldn't ride it. Ran like shit. Took it back. He tuned it. I think he tried flashing it about 2 more times and still couldn't get it right. So when I got that bike, I ended up getting a Leo Vince exhaust kind of as a stopgap until I kind of figured out the exhaust that I really, really wanted, and I ended up settling on the Race Fit. So I bought the Race Fit, and it needed to be remapped anyways, but Pops and Bangs guy had talked me into dyno tuning it, which, I don't know, I kind of had a feeling at this point that he didn't know what he was doing, but I did pay to let him dyno tune it, thinking that on the dyno he would map out the throttle transition and, you know, all would be good. But he strapped it on the dyno. The flash that it currently had on it, it made like a whopping 137 horsepower, which is barely more than stock. So the flash that he sold me was way down on power. So he tuned it, and it did make power in the end. It made 150, about what the bike is supposed to make. And then took it home, and it had the most uncontrollable backfire on decel. You know, it wasn't your typical like burble blurb on decel. Like, it was a full-blown backfire. It sounded like an AR-15. Like, the concussion of it would hit you in the chest and it would hurt. Like, people would go up in the mountains and people would not want to ride behind me just because of like how loud it was. Talked to said tuner again. He wanted to charge me a 3rd time to put it back on the dyno and fix the issue. And at that point I just said fuck it, and I pulled the ECU out and shipped it to Two Wheel Dynoworks. They flashed it and it was perfect ever since. So I really can't recommend enough. Like, you know, Two Wheel Dynoworks, they're buying the bikes, developing the tunes, and then, you know, further developing them on track. You know, a lot of these tuners, they'll get in a customer's bike, they'll develop a tune for said exhaust and whatever is done to it, and then that's it. And then they're taking that tune and packaging it and reselling it and it's an incomplete product. And I really honestly feel like these types of tuners, they're just ripping people off. You know, they can make power at wide open throttle, but the day-to-day drivability of it is just shit. You know, if I was doing nothing but drag racing, you know, it probably would have been fine. But if I was gonna take it into the mountains or ride it around town, or fuck, even do a track day on it, it was borderline unreliable, or like not unreliable, unrideable. Fucking dipshit. So yeah, just guys, make sure you do your research. Don't get caught up with the hype of YouTube videos and shit. You know, the tuner that I'm referencing, like, there's, if you look for the info's out there. Blown up bikes, you know, the 636 is a prime example. Like, that bike doesn't make any more power. There's no point in extending the factory rev range on that bike, but he does it, and as a result, you know, there's been a few bikes that have blown up. So, you know, just be careful who you pick. Yeah, I couldn't be happier with this thing now that it's back. Unfortunately, with the amount of traffic, I can't really open it up to let you feel it. Damn, I'm stuttering. Hopefully you guys can see the difference. So, like, we're really low RPM, so I'm gonna stick it right here. Yeah, the wheel easily comes up in first now. Alright, so we're 2,500 RPMs in second gear. So hopefully that picks up for you guys. The difference is there's not like a huge ramp where it doesn't pull and then it gets to 8K and then it starts to pull. You know, it's pulling consistently through the gear, which makes it feel a shit ton better. You're not waiting for the power to come in and then it ramps in, and then, like, you know, it's hard to just, like, the way that it was stock, it didn't pull, and then once it got to about 7-8K, it starts to pull, and then once it gets up around like 9K, it stops pulling, and then you gotta shift gears, and then you would literally shift into third gear, and it would, like, basically snap your neck back, because in third gear it felt like you had full power. So when I say it's completely different, like night and day, it's night and day different. It feels like it's, you know, I finally feel like I'm getting what I paid for when I bought the bike. I don't know why Yamaha maps it the way that they map it.